Okay, so it's Sal George Bass here. Today we're doing a video on how to use a baitcaster, how to tune it. That'll be in another video. This is kind of like a two-part series where we're just doing the beginner's guide to using a baitcaster. Now I've been using a baitcaster probably 2 to 3 years now. I've gotten a pretty good knowledge of how to use one, enough to where I think I'll be able to express it without like screwing up or something and saying something wrong. But basically, your baitcaster, it does. Some people use spinners and they say, oh yeah, it's a lot easier to use a spinner, you don't have to worry about bird nests, all that stuff. I mean, you do it with spinners, but it's a lot less of an occurrence for there to be a bird nest with a spinner. But with baitcasters, what they really excel in is very precise casts, very accurate casts is what I'm trying to get at. It's like with spinners, I have a spinner. I have a spinner I use right here for a nest, but I just can't get the amount of accurate casts I can with a baitcaster. A baitcaster, I can get it, depending on how well you are at casting, right now I can probably get it within half a foot of where I actually want it to go. I mean, you can get really precise with a baitcaster when you get really good at thumbing it. Now, basically, to go ahead and get right into it, we'll go with three. There's really three main parts you're going to want to worry about. First, you have the braking system, which is on the side right here. I don't know if you can see that. Braking system on the side right here. You're going to have to worry about a little drag knob right here. And then you have the drag star. Now the drag star is not so much for casting, but it's for, you can set the amount of poundage you want against the fish while it's pulling. It's like, I think this one, I don't know, I'm kind of taking a shot in the dark. 14 pounds max drag, let me see. 14 pounds max drag. And it basically allows you to set, now with braid, usually it's not that big of a deal, because usually braid doesn't snap that easily. But with like, if you use like 10-pound mono or something, you might want to set that a little bit if you're going to be catching like some big fish. But for casting wise, the two things you're going to be talking about is your drag knob and your braking. Now basically the way, this is just beginners of course, so I'm not going to really be going into the braking because that's going to be in the second part. But basically the way, when you first get your baitcaster, now when I first got my baitcaster, what I thought was like, because you see when you pull it, you let your line go. When you pull it, when you go to reel in, it automatically just sets like that. It automatically just comes up and locks it in. Well, when I first got my baitcaster, I thought, well, right when it gets to the spot, I'll just reel it in and lock it. Well, it doesn't work like that. You'll end up losing a lot of line. Also, for a beginner, then save yourself a bunch of frustration and money too. Use braid if you're a beginner. Braid, don't use mono if you're a beginner. Oh my gosh, do not use mono. I hate mono on baitcasters. You use it sometimes, I rarely ever use it, but if you're a beginner, don't use mono. Basically, because since you're new to a baitcaster, this is a beginner's guide, you don't really know what a backlash is. Well, backlash is basically where it's like you're casting and your spool's spinning too fast. Your spool's spinning faster than your line is going out. So basically it just starts building up line and it goes, basically your reel just blows up right here. And basically mono does this really badly. Or like mono bird nests rarely ever come out. I mean, like they do sometimes, but it takes a lot of time. Now, with braid, it takes a little bit, after a while, the bird nesting with braid, you end up getting a technique. I have a technique, it's kind of hard to explain, so I'm not going to tell you about it. But it's really, it doesn't, when it bird nests, I'm not saying it doesn't bird nest, but when it does, it's really easy to get out. And that's why I like to use braid, because braid's a little bit more expensive. I mean, it is, but it's worth it if you're a beginner. When it bird nests, it's not like it's going to be really hard to get out. The only thing I can say is if you do bird nest, do not pull the line tight. You can just bury it even further down and to where you can't get it out. But yeah, so what we're going to talk about, when you cast, you want to push, first of all, you want to push the button down right here, like that. And then when you go to cast, right before you want to watch your bait, and right before it hits the water, right before you can sense it, like now, I've been using it for a few years, so I can just sort of tell when it's about to hit the water without kind of watching it. You want to thumb the spool. Basically, you just push your thumb down on the spool like that. And basically, that keeps your spool from spinning. Usually, sometimes what I do, sometimes I just lightly tap the side of the spool right there. I don't know if you can see that, but sometimes I'll just touch the side of the spool right there, and that'll help me to thumb it to get really accurate cast. So I'm about to go outside and just show you what it'll look like casting. Okay, so we're in my backyard right now. and I'm about to show you how to set your bait cast. Let me see. I'm not going to mess with the anti-backlash just because this one, it doesn't have numbers on it. Most of your, when you get to more expensive reels, they don't have numbers on it. It's a little bit more classy, I guess you could say. So, this one doesn't have numbers on it, so I won't be able to set it back. And counting that many clicks is not going to be cool. I'm actually about to wipe off a lens on. Okay, also, if you are still watching, I'm getting a new GoPro and a bunch of accessories. I'm ordering actually today, I'm ordering it. I'm just waiting for a few checks to be cashed, which I'm doing tonight. Order it today. Should be in, I don't think it's Prime, so it should be in like a few days, really. I'll do an unboxing on it. It'll be sick. I just can't wait for it to come in. But then basically, I'll just cast a few times. And then you see, right before it hits the ground, you want to thumb it. Also, when you do this, you don't want to be like me and be lazy, where you have your bait on here when you do it. But I don't want to have to set it for another bait, because it does take a little bit, especially from a beginner's point of view. It's going to take a little bit of a long time to set it your first few times. But basically, I'm going to get back. Right there. Right about a foot before I saw it hit the ground, I slammed my thumb down on the braid. You're not trying to like destroy it. So you just like lightly go poof, like that. Just enough to stop the spool from spinning. Now, if I had to guess, that probably went about 100 feet, probably about 100, 110 feet. Now, that wasn't even that hard of a cast. Now, you see, with casting, also in a two-part edition, you don't want to cast it like a baseball bat. If you're casting it like a baseball bat, then you're doing something wrong. You want to just be able to just lightly cast it without having to like throw your arm out or something doing it, throw your shoulder. So, and also, one thing that people think is that, hey, if I cast harder, then it'll go further. Well, it's actually the opposite. The harder, when you get to really casting extremely hard, it actually doesn't go nearly as far. So it's if you're casting like a baseball bat, like trying to hit it 90-mile-an-hour fast pitch, then it's not going to go as far as you think it is. It just isn't. But basically, so I'm not gonna like put the knob down just because I'm not gonna loosen up the drag a little bit, just because it will bird nest, and I don't want to get out of bird nest. I mean, with braid, it only takes like 5 seconds, but I still don't want to take the braid, so I'm going to screw it up. That's 3 clicks up. Now, it probably went about 110 feet this time. But now, let's see if I can turn the GoPro, and you can say. So, I'm going to go back while the GoPro's on it. I'm going to go back to when I cast. I'm literally right behind the GoPro. I'm 3 clicks back to where I was. Okay. Now, that was probably a good 110 feet, 120 maybe. Now I'm going to do it 3 clicks up. I'm going to tighten the drag knob to where it tightens up on the spool a little bit. Now watch this. And it didn't go nearly as far. It probably went about 100 feet that time. Let's say you really screw up, and I'm going to go even 3 more clicks. So this is 6 clicks. The knob's actually getting tighter. This is 6 clicks from how it's supposed to be set. It probably went, if I had to guess, probably like 60 feet. It went a lot less. I don't know if you can notice it on the GoPro, but there is a huge difference. So that concludes our beginner's guide to how to use a baitcaster. It's pretty simple. If you have any questions or anything, then you might want to watch the second part, because that might actually answer some of the questions. But if it's not on either ones, just go ahead and shoot me a comment. I will respond. I respond to all comments. I love your comments. But yeah, this is South Georgia Bassin signing out.